Can we go see the Five Nights at Freddy's movie? No, it's not at all. It's not even out yet. Unless this is out when it's out, but I mean, no, it's not at all. What?
Hi, I'm Nicolas Cage.
Sorry, whew, almost lost my cool there. Well, what does that bring us to now? As you can tell by clicking on it, we're of course going to be talking about Willy's Wonderland, starring none other than Nicolas Cage. So the big joke with this movie when it came out, or I guess selling point for some, was people considered it a Five Nights at Freddy's movie that wasn't actually Five Nights at Freddy's. Five Nights at Freddy's is a video game that got popular pretty much upon its release during the 2010s. In that game, you take the role of a security guard doing the night shift at a place that's kind of like a Chuck E. Cheese, a child's play place that's usually catered towards having parties, and there's animatronics there. Now, I never really got into the game or anything myself, but I knew what it was, I knew how popular it was, I watched a few of my favorite YouTubers play it, but I actually never played it. Until this month.
Hold on, what y'all doing? Something happened? I'm really not like the person for these types of games to watch, so I'll be honest about that. I typically don't get scared. Okay, that almost got me. Ah, it was 4 a.m. Go away already, god damn. Rules are similar to, damn it!
So for some reason you still don't get what I'm saying. Five Nights at Freddy's, part of the phenomenon is that, well, it's kind of like you took Chuck E. Cheese and the animatronics went insane. Maybe they're haunted, whatever. That's also what this movie was going for. So imagine a movie with a haunted Chuck E. Cheese and Nicolas Cage front and center. Before diving right in, I figure, let's see what the box has to say. It's birthday time. A quiet loner, Nicolas Cage, finds himself stranded in a remote town when his car breaks down. Unable to pay for the repairs he needs, he agrees to spend the night cleaning Willy's Wonderland, an abandoned family fun center. But this Wonderland has a dark secret that the janitor is about to discover. He soon finds himself trapped inside Willy's and locked in an epic battle with the possessed animatronic mascots that roam the halls. To survive, he must fight his way through each of them. And if that plot description and Nick Cage were enough of a selling point, this movie is only 89 minutes. I love seeing that runtime for a movie of this caliber. It's not going to waste my time, and it's probably going to use its time very wisely. A big selling point for a lot of people on watching this movie was not just Nicolas Cage, but because of the similarities to Five Nights at Freddy's. While he might not be a security guard, the idea of the animatronics coming alive at night is pretty similar, but this actually has nothing to do with it. And apparently the director describes it himself as Pale Rider versus Killer Clowns from Outer Space. And to explain that briefly, Clint Eastwood playing the man with no name in a western versus weird looking guys in costumes. What y'all think? Glasses? No glasses? I don't know. I'm gonna match my shirt a little. The movie opens up with Nick Cage driving around. He's got a nice car, he looks cool as hell, and well, his tires get popped. He checks the damage and then a tow truck driver comes along and helps him out. As a part of this introduction between these two characters, Nick Cage is given the proposition of working off the payment for the tires as he doesn't have enough money on him, and apparently this town is so far behind in time, the ATMs don't work and they don't have any way doing that internet money stuff.
Oh, that over there. Yeah, we ain't got no internet in Hayesville.
We're then also introduced to another character, Liv and the Sheriff. I'm gonna be honest, nothing against the talent in this movie. I don't really care for Liv's acting, and the second she was introduced, I was like, she's gonna be a main character for some reason, isn't she? I think it's just not so much her acting as much, I just don't like her voice. Does that mean? And she's introduced doing something pretty stupid. She's trying to commit arson in broad daylight, and then she gets mad that she gets caught. And it turns out her guardian is the sheriff, who brings her home and handcuffs her to the radiator. Back to the part we really care about. Nick Cage is brought to Willy's Wonderland, welcomed by the owner. He bought out the place, but it's been abandoned for years. His job will be to clean it up so it can be presentable and reopened. He advises him to take breaks and just take his time. He's gonna go in for the night and just clean up until morning.
Congratulations. You are officially on staff.
So something worth noting, we're about 10 minutes into the movie and we've had all these interactions and conversations. Cage has not said a single word. He's pretty much just a silent protagonist. It's kind of like getting to see a different perspective of the player in a video game. So it's pretty cool, honestly. So back to Liv, her friends show up and they see that she's cuffed in her own home, so they free her because they're planning to go and destroy Willy's Wonderland. That's what they were supposed to do together. Why did she try burning the place by herself in the middle of the day if their plan was to go tonight anyways? I don't know. Can you already tell that I don't like them and I don't care for them? So the janitor's cleaning up and he's doing a pretty good job, honestly. He's actually going in, cleaning all this crap up, and he even gives himself a break with an alarm that he set himself. He is taking this job very seriously. It's his pride in this newfound temporary job that he is confronted by one of the animatronics for the first time. My favorite part about his reaction, he doesn't really seem to question it. He's just bothered that it's wasting his time and getting in his way, so he just beats the shit out of it. It's awesome. And to top it all off, he cleans it up. He even bags up the thing when he's done killing it. He takes his breaks in what seems to be the kitchen, and that's because that's where he has his fridge full of his drinks. And in there, for some reason, he sees a tarp, takes it off, and finds a Willy's Wonderland themed pinball machine that's still operational. This is done several times, so I'm not gonna repeat it every time, but each time he takes these breaks, it gets a little more intense with him and the pinball machine. He gets super into it and even does his own little dance to it and everything. It's just fun watching him goof around in between all the mayhem we're about to see. And that's pretty much the loop of this movie. He's gonna be doing some cleaning, we get a little lore in the process, takes his break, and then when he comes off his break, another one of the animatronics came to life and decides to mess with them and try to kill them. And that's the whole movie, essentially. His second response, I think, is even better because, well, he does such a good job cleaning this place. You can see he's, like, genuinely kind of upset that this guy came in and screwed it up. I like his fight with the gorilla in this scene quite a bit. He's in the bathroom, he just actually cleaned all these mirrors and everything. He beats the crap out of it, throws it out the other one, and then you see him actually come back to clean up the mess anyways. After the second round, that's when the group of teens, I'm assuming that's what they're supposed to be, make it to Willy's Wonderland. Their plan was to just go in and burn the place down, which again, why was she trying to do it by herself in broad daylight if she's gonna do it in the middle of the night with all her friends anyways? As they're dousing the place, they realize someone's inside. So our main girl, she wants to try to get him out, but he's not having it. He wants to stay and do his job so he can get his car in the morning and go off. Which, that's another great part about this. He just accepts the animatronics coming to fight him as a part of the job. It makes the janitor such a badass character. I could see other guys doing this. I feel like Arnold Schwarzenegger or even Sylvester Stallone probably could have done this, but Nick Cage, even when he doesn't say a word, his performance is just wild. And since he's not coming out on his own, she decides, you know what, I need to go in. I'm not gonna go down for killing this guy. We're just trying to get rid of this business once and for all. But the friends aren't really having it, but she breaks her way in anyways. This leads to them getting on the roof to decide, it's like, okay, now we need to go and get our friend back. This is stupid, we need to help her out, but maybe we should just leave. Whatever. The funniest part is the way they end up getting inside. They fall through the roof and they land in the ball pit. We carry on from there. We now get to see Willy's band interact with other people besides the janitor. There's this one that's just a fairy, which is the least interesting design because it doesn't look like a big mascot costume as much as it does just a girl wearing a weird mask. It's this weird like fairy forest scene, so I mean it's kind of creepy, but it's not as fun. Like, I don't get what the vibe would have been if this was an actual place to take your kid. So even though, yes, the janitor here is a hero, Liv actually puts up a fight herself, which is surprising, because it seems like, as we get more into it, that should be pretty difficult for anyone else to pull off. Upon everyone regrouping, they still can't convince the guy to leave, but they realize, hey, he's killing these things. We didn't know you could do that. Which also begs the question, it's like, is the janitor just a superhuman or something? Because if this was an option, how come they've been so afraid of it if they've just been able to beat them up and kill them themselves? Or is he just that powerful? Maybe he's just got that big Nick energy. They follow the janitor around to see what he's been up to and explain why things are the way they are. It turns out the employees here were actually psychopathic murderers. They eventually started killing people in Willy's Wonderland, and towards the end when they were going to get caught, they held this satanic ritual so they could possess the animatronics and carry on their deeds. It kept running for a little while, but then the animatronics started attacking customers. This led to the place getting shut down and business was gone. The teens here trying to burn the place down once and for all, they were there when this stuff happened. They knew some of the victims. They grew up with it. And of course, after getting all this backstory, what the hell happens? They split up. And of course, boyfriend, girlfriend over here, they go and have sex somewhere for some reason. Because that was the best thing to go do in this place. You just said you didn't want to go into, and you were coming here to burn down. And you said, you know what? Let's just go and fuck. The animatronics do in fact come to life at this point, and one of my favorite bits in the whole movie happens. Because the janitor is so serious about this job and taking his breaks like the boss suggested, when his alarm goes off, even though he's talking to these people, or rather they're talking to him, he walks off and takes his break. So during his break, the animatronics attack once again, and they can't put up a fight. It's just so funny seeing him playing pinball while these people are getting murdered, all because his alarm went off. He said, nah, it's my break time. But then the second it's over, he's back to kick some ass. All of Willy's crew is out and about, that everyone's split up. It's like, all right, it's gonna be easy pickings. One for you, one for you, one for me. That's the deal going on now. And it's a weird assortment of characters, not like they had any sort of theme. So I'm gonna use the case here to help me out to list them out to y'all. You have Willy the Weasel, this crocodile, alligator, whatever, the gorilla, an ostrich, a chameleon looking thing. Yeah, it's a chameleon. A straight up knight for some reason, fairy, and Mexican turtle. So all the teens are getting killed for stupid reasons and stupid places. But of course, any of these animatronics that run into the janitor, well, that's gonna be their last attempt at taking another soul.
Hi, Editor Shyboy here. Somehow I failed to explain the whole scene of the dude that gets killed by the chameleon. While he's hiding, he actually manages to call the cops, and they realize like, oh crap, someone's actually in Willy's Wonderland. I guess we need to do something about it. I had said that thing about him going on his break when they're all getting murdered. The best one is right here. He squares up and everything. He does come back to kill it, but the fact that he did that when it was clearly a threat, it's like, he's dedicated to that schedule he made. And this scene is pretty cool, because the setup is really stupid. Like, the guy lets himself get convinced by this possessed animatronic that she's not one of the bad ones, like that's what she tells him, and then it just gets him killed, and it's pretty gross.
We're gonna make a deal, and...
Liv ends up taking up the fight for herself for all, and it has you wonder, it's like, how come no one else could do it, but she can? This little girl, pretty much. Silent hero and small female can fight it, but no one else could do anything. They just died almost immediately.
So I haven't brought them up because I don't really care, and they honestly don't do much until they arrive. The sheriff and her deputy, they get a call while they're there, and then they realize, oh, those kids are there. We actually need to go do something. The deputy doesn't know the whole deal with Willy's Wonderland, but the sheriff is in on it with the tow truck driver and the owner. It turns out this is a sort of scam they run. They purposely blow out the tires of any passerbys, and then they convince them, it's like, oh, you can't pay? Well, you can just stay the night here while we work on your car, and then you can just work it off by cleaning up the joint for us. But what they're really doing is sacrificing these people to Willy and his band. The deputy didn't know about it until they're arriving. And because that wasn't enough, Liv was one of the survivors of these families they did this to, and so that's why the sheriff adopted her, because she was left all alone and she didn't want that guilt hanging over her. Now it's down to the janitor and magically Liv, which I really don't know why she's able to survive but no one else could. It doesn't make much sense, but she survived the first time, I guess. When the sheriff gets there, she comes in with her gun ready, but not necessarily to save who's there, but to be sure the stranger stays. The deputy is reluctant, but he eventually gives in because he's convinced that if they don't make these sacrifices, it's gonna make everything worse for the town and it's not gonna stay contained. But if the place is all boarded up and everything, is anything gonna get out if they don't put someone in to feed it? They tie up the janitor and leave him for dead. But that is not enough for this guy. You cannot stop him. But Liv is taken away. The sheriff wants her taken home. So the Mexican turtle I mentioned earlier followed Liv and the deputy. This is one of the more funny interactions because most of the animatronics didn't really talk until the second half. And so, of course, he speaks Spanish. and he gets the shit beat out of him by Liv. Which again, are they just that special or something? Or was everyone else just too dumb and weak to figure out, it's like, hey, I can fight back? My only complaint though, she doesn't seem to finish him off whenever she just walks away. Sadly though, the deputy did die, but that's on him for being ignorant and kinda just stupid.
Hey, cowboy. Ready for a little menage a trois?
He takes on 2 at a time, and that's just not enough. That's not enough to take this man down. He does his thing, he keeps cleaning, he cleans up the bodies, and takes a look at the sheriff, who's surprised that he actually took him out, and that he just walks back in. He's taken this job so seriously. If only everyone had a work ethic like this guy. Pay better be good as hell though. So even though they're scared of these things, and she just witnessed that this guy has been killing them and disposing of them, she's mad. Because she's afraid that Willy's going to get mad and take it out on the town. Even though she's been watching this guy kill everyone, she's still convinced that he needs to be fed to Willy instead. Because apparently someone coming in and taking care of things isn't enough. You'd rather just keep sacrificing people, even though this guy's not gonna let himself be sacrificed. We make it to the final showdown between Willy and the janitor. And this is the best fight in the movie because it has the most back and forth. The janitor has been injured at this point, but he did not let that stop him at all. All the injuries he's taken throughout the movie meant nothing to him. He cleans up the trash, wipes the joint clean, and walks out like nothing happened. And this comes as a surprise to the tow truck driver and cowboy hat. They're just like, well, I'll be damned. And they is like, you know what? Respect. They give him his keys back and let him have his car. Because originally they were just going to keep the damn thing. They were just going to come clean up and all that, but he did the job. That's impressive work. So as the janitor is about to drive off, Liv for some reason goes with him. I guess she doesn't really have a home anymore, but it's like, are you supposed to live with him now just because he saved your life? It's a little weird. To be sure everything is wrapped up nicely, it turns out the fairy did not die. Besides, you know what? Screw this deal. I'm taking y'all with me. All my friends are dead. You jackasses get to go too. And they go out with a bang. And what did I say? This dude, she did not finish him off. But that means nothing to this car. We get one last glory kill in and it's credits. This movie is so much fun. It is so wild, just not necessarily in concept, because like I said, we have another well-known franchise that has a similar concept. It's just the way it's carried out, the way it looks. And Nicolas Cage just brings his energy to it, all without saying a single word. He just is the silent badass and gets the job done. The character designs are really cool, and I think it's kind of funny because like I said, the fairy was the least interesting one, but clearly they designed her in mind of that finale because I was probably the only character that could articulate to be able to grab anything to light the car on fire. I really like the character designs, the set looks great, the camera work is kind of interesting, but there is like a weird fisheye thing I wasn't super into, but I guess that was really trying to add some disorientation to the whole odd bizarreness to the movie. I give it a 7 out of 10. It's a lot of fun. If you like the concept of Five Nights at Freddy's, I think you'll have fun with this movie. And if you like Nicolas Cage, this is definitely one of his recent roles that's worth checking out. Not to say some of his other ones aren't, but this is definitely a standout piece. Now, I haven't seen the Five Nights at Freddy's movie yet, as I am releasing this as the movie comes out the same day. Now, I have not seen the Five Nights at Freddy's movie. As I said, I barely even touched the games and saw people play them. But I will be watching that, and maybe you can compare the two just because of the similar concepts. So it seems that this would make a good warm-up for that movie, or even a fun follow-up if you're not quite done with that idea. If you enjoyed what you saw, leave a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and share the video. I've been Shyboy616. Happy Halloween, and I will see you